Well, glad to have you back. Geno Pettis Adventures. I'm still Geno. And so I'm going to talk to you tonight about the Gringo Effect. The Gringo Effect in Colombia. And I really didn't want to talk about it, but it has to be addressed. So if you'd be so kind as to like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can have more of them, and share with a friend. And so here we go. If you come to Colombia and you're just fat and sassy and waltzing around and buying stuff and doing this and that and the other, you can bet your bottom dollar that you're going to become familiar with the Gringo Effect. And let me tell you what the Gringo Effect is. I went to a visa lady over a year ago to get my cédula and to get my marriage visa. And she quoted me around 400 bucks. And when it was all said and done, it was closer to 500, but it got done and I was glad and the whole thing. And this year I called her up and I said, well, we're going to have to renew it. And that struck the first bell because number one, the visa should be for 3 years, not for 1 year. And she made some lame excuse about the COVID this and the COVID that and the COVID the other. And they're only giving them for 1 year. Well, I don't know if I want to believe that or not, because I think she was hustling me all along, wanting to get $400 for 3 years instead of $400 for 1 year. So come to find out, this year I did some extra research. And the visa itself actually cost $230 plus $52 application fee. So it's $280. So if she charged me $380, I would be more than happy with that, because $100 to do the work that she did to secure my visa and my cédula, in my estimation, was worth it. However, this year, she tried to tack another $100 onto it. And I'm not going to have it. And the only reason she did that is because I'm a gringo. And they think that everybody that's a gringo has money. So where I really got to noticing this was a friend of mine, Felix with Giant Lifestyles, who is my mentor, needed some help. He's hanging out in Colombia, likes it a lot. He's up in Medellin. God only knows. I guess it's a real nice place where he is, up in Medellin. However, he needs to extend his visa and he needs some dental work done. So I went on, and he speaks very little Spanish, can't defend himself yet, but he'll get there because he's working on it on a daily basis. But I started researching some of the doctors in Medellin that spoke English. And relative to the prices of the doctors in Bucaramanga, the prices were almost double if it was on their English-speaking website. And what these guys don't realize, I know there's a lot of you guys are probably salesmen or marketers, and you understand the life value of a customer. I mean, I live by the life value of a customer. I don't just want to go and sell you something for the most money one time and goodbye. No, I want to sell you the same product at the end of every product cycle that I can. And I want to sell them to your primos, and I want to sell them to your cousins, and I want to sell them to your wife and your brother-in-law. I want to sell them to everybody that you know. I don't just want a one-time deal. And that, my friends, is where a lot of businessmen, excuse me, that are Colombians are missing the freaking boat. If you want to have dental work done and you're on the English-speaking page, you're going to pay more money. If you want to have breast enhancements on the surgical page, you're going to pay more money. If you want to buy a car, you're going to pay more money. If you want to rent an apartment, you're going to pay more money, and sometimes a lot more money. And the sad thing about it is they're doing it to everybody, not just the gringos. Maybe it should be the tourist effect. I'm not sure, but there was a group of people in Cartagena that went out to lunch from Mexico. So Mexicans from Mexico were in Cartagena, enjoying the beach, and went out to lunch. Those poor people got charged $1,500 for a lunch for 6 or 8 people. Anyway, it ended up being 6 million pesos, which is about $1,500, which it should have been about $200 at the most, or 800,000 pesos. And they got them for 6 million pesos. And I am really shocked that the Mexicans let them get away with that, because most of the time the Mexicans are pretty shrewd traders and can spot a hustle when they see a hustle. So my whole point to everybody out there is be very careful. Be very careful when you're buying goods and services in Colombia. And unfortunately, it is nationwide. It doesn't matter where you are. And I'm not even sure it matters if you're, I think the only thing that matters is if you're a Colombian, not so much, because Colombians know the deal and they're just not going to let it happen. But if you're a foreigner, and I call it the Gringo Effect, I don't know what, we might be able to call it something else. There's a lot of these businessmen that are just straight up going to try to rob you with a pencil. Something that's supposed to cost 1 million pesos, just because in the United States 1 million pesos is cheap. It's $250. Is that correct? Somewhere around there. Doesn't mean that it's cheap here. Just because you get an apartment for $1,200 here, a penthouse or whatever, because you know it's cheap in the United States, that ain't cheap for here, buddy. Cheap for here is half that price. And they just have to try you on at every turn, at every corner. And that's what's so wonderful about my wife, because a lot of times Maria just goes and checks the price out. They never see me. And it's a whole different price when Maria buys something and I show up with the cash than when I show up with the cash and I want to buy something. There's a lot of things that they can't mess with you with. Like in the larger stores and supermarkets, the prices are marked. In the mom and pop kettle, if they like you, they'll charge you Colombian prices. If they don't like you, they'll charge you gringo prices. That was my lovely bride. And if it wasn't for her, I'd be paying gringo prices. No, I wouldn't be paying gringo prices, because I check stuff like that out. And I'm pretty adept to know when they're railing me. And just knowing walking in that they're going to try you on is a good place to start. And you, I mean, I just tell them sometimes, and don't think I got all the money in the world, buddy, just because I'm a gringo. And so I want a good price. And if you give me a crappy price, I'm out of here. I'll take what money I have and I'm out of here. And I'll go find somebody that will give me a good deal. And if it's not you, well, that's too bad. Another thing that they probably can't get you on is the price of a home, the price of to buy an apartment, renting apartments. Most of the time, if you go in to a rental agreement, I mean, you see a rental on the internet or whatever, you can hold their feet to the fire for that price. Where they will try to get you is in the deal itself. For example, I know we heard of a gentleman that registered the price that he bought a property for lower than the actual selling price, because the person that was selling the house is going to have to pay tax on the sale price. And the lawyer was taking care of both sides, the buyer and the seller. You have to really be careful of that. In the United States, we have a fiduciary responsibility to both the buyer and the seller. In Colombia, they don't have a fiduciary responsibility to anybody except themselves. So, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. And so what happens there, this guy's got, I don't know, just let's suck a number out of the air. He's got a $3 million property that he said he paid 200 million for pesos. Well, if he wants to sell it 3 or 4 years from now, he's going to get taxed on everything over 2 million pesos, not everything over the 3 million pesos that he actually paid. So in the long run, he got screwed out of 20% of 100. Well, he got screwed out of 20 million pesos, which is about 5 grand. And if they get caught doing that, if you get caught doing that as a buyer or a seller, there are some horrendous fines. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but it's just not good. And that's why another reason Bill and I have decided to get into the real estate market. And you guys probably don't know this, and I'm going to have a whole video about this. But I was a realtor in California, Arizona, and Texas, and an auctioneer of houses for 20 years. So I was also the repo guy for Chase Bank, and I don't hold that against me. But I sold 287 houses in 18 months. That's what I know about real estate. And I just know that down here, you got a really good chance. If you don't have somebody that's got your back or know somebody with a reputation, that somebody can say, okay, Charlie's a good real estate attorney, or Charlie's not a good real estate attorney, you have to be very, 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 very careful. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure you can pull it off. I guess a lot of people do. A lot of people do. But there's a lot of, there's no rules. There's no laws. It doesn't matter. If they can get away with charging you double for something, they're going to do it. Triple, quadruple, name a price. And it's just a really crappy attitude that they have because they don't understand. You just made one sale when you could have probably made 10, 15, 20 sales with no work because you already sold the person once. And they're going to sell their cousin, and they're going to sell their uncle, and they're going to sell their ex-wife. You don't have to. You just run in and polish it off. So with that being said, there you go. That's the Gringo Effect. And God bless you. Just pay attention. Just like I always say, don't be stupid. Pay attention. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, smells like a duck, it's probably a duck. So don't let them take your money. And remember, this is the first day of the rest of your life. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. But if you want to come down and rent a place for 6 months or a year to see where you want to buy something, or if you just want to run down here and buy it, which I don't, I would not recommend that. I would come down and rent something for 6 months just so you'll know. That way you learn the prices of everything. You're in town long enough to know what that house is worth, to know what this other apartment's worth. You're in town long enough to know. And Bill and I are here to help you. So just, if you look in the description, we'll have everybody's contact information there. And we appreciate it. So I'll be signing off now. God bless you. And this is Gino, and we will see you. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the flip side. Thank you.